Will Washington ever cut spending? That's what we'll be talking about today. Ed Vitagliano, Abraham Hamilton III, and Walker Wildman here with you. I read a recent article on Conservative Review about how Congress is set to decide on a budget this fall, and there's 12 spending bills they have to pass in order to agree on a budget. And guess how many they've passed? 0, and we're just a couple months out from the deadline. Ed, what do you think's going on here as far as, what's going on that makes this so dysfunctional?
Well, I just think that nobody in Washington, D.C. is a grown-up. I mean, I think most of us understand we have home budgets. We can't print our own money. That is one big difference. But we all realize at some point you've got to even out income and what's going out. But you don't have to do that in Washington, D.C., and nobody wants to be the one, or very few people. There are a handful that will make this an issue, but very few people up there want to tell the American people, listen, we are continuing to spiral out of control in our spending and our debt, and we have to get this under control. George Bush, Bush 43, learned from Bill Clinton that if you want to tell people that you're for education, for example, you got to spend federal money. And that's what everyone in Washington, D.C. seems to want to do. We've got to prove that we're in favor of curing this problem, so that means federal money. Nobody wants to be the one who's accused of being against education, for example, by saying we got to cut back.
Yeah. Abe, everybody wants to try to see the positive side of things, or the glass half full, but in this situation, this thing's been going on, this debate's been going on for years, even dating back to the Obama administration and even, as Ed mentioned, under the Bush administration. But who in Washington is going to have the power to stand up, maybe the president, and say, enough is enough, let's start at least balancing spending? What can we do here?
Yeah, and that, it's not something I expect President Trump to do, because the deficits have blown up continuously even under President Trump, and it has not been something he's campaigned on, reining in spending. And this is just one of those instances where it's another example of, quite frankly, the Republican Party being pushed more and more to the left on a policy issue, because there was a time when Republicans would talk about the budget, talk about needing to rein in runaway spending, but you don't hear anybody having those conversations anymore. And I think it's just, as Ed said, the political calculus has been made that cutting spending is bad for re-election business.
Sure.
And so nobody wants to lose their job of being re-elected to their position. So it seems that cutting spending is no longer a viable political policy issue to present, nor even to campaign on.
Yeah, well, I agree 100% with what Abe said there. The GOP Republican Party platform, dating back to 2016 when President Trump was elected, clearly states that fiscal responsibility is a top priority for the party. Whether they'll apply that when it comes to actual policy making, we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for tuning in to Reason & Company.